Hi and welcome to our virtual production showcase. My name's Tim Doubleday and I'm the VFX product manager here at Vicon. Unfortunately, we don't get to visit Washington this year and meet you all in person. Ideally, we'd have loved to have done this demo live. I wanted to highlight the amazing work that the motion capture industry has done during lockdown. You haven't really seen people stop. You've seen socially distanced mocap shoots, even people shooting at home. I think it's a real credit to the industry that they haven't stopped or been impacted during this time. And we haven't stopped here at Vicon either. During the pandemic, we managed to release Shōgun 1.4, and I'd like to give a massive shout out to the whole team for getting it out on time. Okay, so as part of this showcase, we're going to focus on Shōgun, which is our entertainment software, as a virtual production hub. I'm sure like me, you've seen the following trend of shooting on these huge LED walls and capturing final pixels in camera. It wasn't until I recently got to visit a set and actually see this in action for myself, socially distanced of course, that the enormity of the applications became apparent. And for me, I think it's all about how these technologies can be scaled and how it opens up various use cases, not just for your high-end movies. And here at Vicon, we really see Shōgun as a central hub, so bringing together these different tracking options and supporting all your virtual production needs. So Shōgun can be used to track objects like the camera, for example, but also track characters like your actors, and then alongside that, track live video. This could be reference video or even the hero camera. And all that's down to the fact that we can actually take this video data and calibrate it using SDI. We've also added support for compression, so real-time compression of the camera allows you to also ingest any of your reference cameras up to 4K, up to 4 cameras supporting 4K at 30 frames a second. And this delivers virtual production techniques supporting Simucam, so the ability of simulating the camera, which I'll go into in more detail. LED walls, as I mentioned, being able to track the camera and project the background, and green screen composite, which I'll also get onto. And at the heart of this really is our understanding at Vicon that sync is so important within that ecosystem. So Shōgun is fully synced with your master timecode source. All your video cameras are also synced, and all this data is then passed down the stream into the game engine. So things like audio and the LED panels themselves can all be synced to a master source. And that's really important within this space. So I'm just going to show you a little video here. This is actually Paul Smith, who runs our software team. You can see here he's picked up a Blackmagic camera, and not only is that camera calibrated, so you can see an overlay, a static overlay, which you can do currently in Shōgun, but now we've added the ability to be able to track that camera within the 3D space. So you can see here on the right hand side we've got tracking markers on the camera, and you can pick that camera up and maintain the calibration. And this really opens up the use for this camera as a simulated camera. So the next kind of challenge for us was then, well, how can we get this information and send it into a game engine like Unreal? But to take a step back and look at the tracking, we're really proud of our tracking solution here at Vicon. We have a camera tracking solution, which you've probably heard of. It's in our software called Tracker and Evoke. Now, this offers incredibly low latency tracking, under 5 milliseconds. Latency is so important because when you're sending this information through the stream, you want it to feel and react as naturally as possible. So the minimum amount of latency is key. Alongside this, we can track the camera within a single 2D view. So unlike Shōgun, which actually reconstructs the data, using 3 or 4 cameras, within our tracker object tracking graph, what we can do is look at a single camera and say, right, we can fit that object within that marker cloud. And that allows us to then reduce the number of cameras on set, which is obviously important in terms of saving cost. And it also allows us to kind of maintain tracking across that single camera. And then low jitter mode. So this is obviously important. You don't want any noise on your tracked object. So we have a feature called low tracking mode, and this helps deliver super smooth 6-degree of freedom tracking information, which is obviously essential. Our USP though is really that you can combine the two. So with Shōgun, we're adding the ability to let the customer choose and say, right, I've got my camera here, I want to use the object tracking graph, but then I've also got my full body subject here, and then maybe they're wearing fingers and they're using retargeting and so on. So we can support retargeting onto any FBX character, and we can also support high resolution fingers as part of that tracking profile. And it's really been able to run those two tracking profiles in parallel and not have the two impact each other. That's the key feature. And the way we do that is to actually send the data across different ports. So you'll get your object tracking, which is obviously very low latency. As soon as it's ready, that will get sent on one port. And then your full body subjects will get sent with the retargeting skeleton down a separate port. And that allows your camera operator to get very tight one-to-one feedback, and then also be able to visualize the CG characters within the camera view within the game engine. Okay, so working with our partners Logimas, who are based in Brisbane, Australia, and obviously Unreal Engine, a partner and customer, we've worked on the Simucam Workflow. So as I mentioned, this is really the ability to calibrate that SDI camera, which is something that only Vicon can do, and no other motion capture provider can do that. It's also worth highlighting this works with both a passive marker, like a traditional marker, and an active marker. And this can also be used on our Vantage and Vero range of cameras alongside the Viper and Viper X active marker or active cameras. So they're strobeless cameras basically. And like I said, we've now added the ability to track that calibrated camera within the space. This data is then streamed within the data stream. So you get things like time code, you get the object's position alongside obviously your full body character's position, so that you can really replicate that camera within the game engine and then start overlaying CG assets within that space. And then, like I said, additionally, we've also added support for recording that information, so we can record four 4K videos within Shōgun. So the final thing here is the tracking of the lens. And we'll come on to this into a little more detail, but you'll see in the video that you can track the rotation of the lens using a focus pull, and then send that information within the game engine, and you can kind of simulate how a focal pull or focus pull will look within the shot. So I'm just going to play this little video that we produced both with our partners, like I say, Logimas and Unreal.
Hi, my name is Max. I'm from Vicon, and in the next few minutes I'm going to talk about how Vicon fits into an Unreal-based virtual production workflow. So now I'm going to actually go through the steps and show you how this is all done. The first step is we need to get the Blackmagic camera in a suitable state for calibrating. Our calibration wand, which has got a pair of infrared lights which calibrate our motion capture cameras, and visible red lights to calibrate our SDI feed. You can see we're calibrating. We need to give some sample data, and all we have to do is paint the entire sensor of sample data, and we also want to get different focal lengths, so we want to paint quite close to the camera and far away. And all it needs is 500 frames or so this is already more than enough data.
So my name is Rangi Sutton. I'm a visual effects supervisor, animation director, and becoming a virtual production person. So this particular virtual production, we're opting to use a green screen and a green screen suit, and the somewhat unique setup of having a motion captured performer in the green screen suit being shot in situ with a live performance. So this scenario gives us immediate feedback to everyone involved. So our cast, our crew, our directors all get to see in real time a very close proximity to what the final shot's going to be.
So once we've finished calibrating, I can check my lens calibration by turning on the 3D overlay. And if I walk out with the prop, you can see that's calibrated well across the whole frame.
So we're no longer having to ask people to imagine what's going to be past the green screen. There's no confusion about that. We're seeing it in real time. One of the most interesting parts of this is how the performers can act towards each other. So we've got our live action performer who's able to in real time see what our motion capture performer is doing and vice versa. Often these could be done a day or a week apart in different parts of the city. And you might need a visual effects supervisor making sure they're hitting the right timing marks. Whereas with this scenario, there can be a lot more impromptu performances. They can go off script slightly. The director can invent a new shot on the day and have them play it out. It really returns us to the creative process as opposed to being a purely technical process when we're dealing with green screen studios, when we're dealing with motion capture and these sorts of visual effects technology, which often the production crew aren't quite aware of what the final result's going to be.
In Shōgun, we've got two objects being tracked. We've got our Blackmagic camera and our follow focus. We've defined the segment we're going to stream to Unreal as the entrance point as given to us by our calibration and also the center of the focus. Once we've launched our Unreal project, we need to make sure LiveLink is set up and configured correctly. And then once we've set up our composure elements, we can hit play. So once we've got Vicon tracking our camera, we've got our lens information in. You can see I've got an object here, I've got markers on it, and I can do an overlay of the CG on top of the live action. And as well as this, if I move my camera around, you'll see my live action elements track with my virtual. And also, because of the follow focus ring being tracked, I can do a focus pull, and my CG and live action will behave correctly.
So one thing I find very useful with this arrangement here is tracking the camera as we're filming means that we're not needing to do that as a post-process and relying on the filmed element. That means we don't need tracking markers on our green screen. We don't need to be constantly watching the shot to make sure we can get a 3D track afterwards. We're also getting the focus changes in real time, which is showing us the effect on the background as well as our foreground images on the green screen. With this, we see it all in real time, the director gets to agree, and the VFX soup gets to sign it off as being an achievable shot.
And mark. And cut.
Thanks for watching this overview on how Vicon can be used with virtual production, and I can't wait to see what everyone makes using this technology.
So I think you can agree it would have made for a really great live demo at SIGGRAPH. It's kind of the perfect fit. We're obviously all gutted not to be able to kind of bring that to you, but who knows in the future. Maybe next year we'll be able to come and do the demo wherever SIGGRAPH may be. Okay, moving on to LED walls or LED panels. This is obviously something that's become very common technique within the virtual production space, whether it be the latest Hollywood movie or TV series, or a lower budget advertising shoot for a car commercial, for example. The ability to render final quality pixels in camera is really the key thing here. And, you know, game engines like Unreal have kind of opened that up. Alongside real-time lighting, obviously. So you've got the rest of the LED panel, which is basically supplying the lighting, and that's driven in real time. So, you know, you might have the sun moving across a shot or the kind of lighting update, and all that lighting is then projected onto your real life assets that are in the middle of the space. And then the camera frustum is what's really important. So that's what you're kind of rendering in the game engine and getting that pixel perfect look within the shot. And obviously a key benefit of this is it reduces the amount of people that are needed on set and the amount of environmental kind of builds that are needed, which obviously saves money alongside the post-production impact. So basically you're moving everything into pre-production, and that saves you a ton of money in post. That kind of classic phrase. But yeah, going back to the car commercial example, obviously we're lucky enough to have customers like ILM working on The Mandalorian, but then we also have customers like Silver Spoon based out of New York who do lots of commercials and advertisements. and maybe the budget's not quite the same scale, but they're still looking to kind of use these techniques. And so being able to project, say, a rolling cityscape across the LED wall and then have all that reflected into the car, which is kind of, you know, a common kind of use case within a car advertisement. You see lots of them on TV. Is really beneficial. You're not having to do any of that post work. Everything is there in camera. You've got your live actors of the car, and all the reflections across the car body look beautiful and accurate. And then you've got the higher end TV shows like I mentioned Mandalorian, but we're also looking at things like Westworld, for example. They're using these LED walls, but then they're also tracking objects within that space. And I think one of the key things that Vicon offers is the ability to not only know where the camera is, but then also know where any other object could be within that space. So it could be something like a spaceship, it could be a moving light, even physical light that's being tracked and then simulated across the space. Or yeah, it could be any set dressing. So you might say, oh, actually, I want this part of the environment to be in the foreground, and you can put tracking markers on it, and then all of a sudden your actors can walk behind that object, and it helps it all look realistic within that shot. So yeah, like I said, really Vicon is the key there. Another key thing is the ability for us to track accurately. Obviously, you've probably seen our recent paper on tracking accuracy. I won't go into the sub-millimeter kind of example, but I think in the LED wall, what you're really keen about is sub-pixel. So being able to overlay your motion capture data to a pixel level means that you can then get a perfect comp within that space, which is obviously really important. And we can also track within complex environments. Obviously, when you're on set, maybe it's dark, or maybe there's smoke, or there's other kind of effects being driven within the shot. And Vicon tracking, whether it's an active or or passive solution, works within that space, which I think is really important. And like I said, you can track additional objects, so it could be a prop or scenery. Okay, so we're just going to share a little promo with a big thanks to Silver Spoon for letting us use this as part of our SIGGRAPH presentation. So yeah, big thanks to Silver Spoon. They're one of our first customers to kind of embrace this LED wall tracking solution. They're based out in New York. They're actually a service provider. So if you're looking for work or would like to kind of get involved in that, then reach out to them. I'm sure they'll be happy to help. Okay, so alongside these virtual production techniques in terms of software integration, we're also looking at a new hardware solution to help facilitate it. Part of that for us is a new and improved virtual camera rig. Working with our partners Niwa, who supply a really nice kind of adjustable camera rig along with some accessories, which I'll go into. So as you can see in these pictures, this solution supports both a dual grip, handheld kind of look, and a shoulder mounted solution, all within a single kind of piece of kit. And on top of that, we've also designed these marker stalks, which you can see in the bottom left image. These are designed to have tracking markers attached to them, and then the stalks themselves can be attached to either the camera or the shoulder rig, or the camera rig, sorry, and kind of help with tracking. And they use a hot shoe mount, which is a standard photography mount, so they can also be used to attach to other objects in this example. And the nice thing about this rig is it works with both the tablet device, which you can see in the top left. That's actually my Surface Book tablet. Or as a Simucam, so using a video camera like here, we've got the Blackmagic Ursa Mini in the top right image. So whether you're looking to use a kind of lightweight, more traditional virtual camera, you can go with the tablet device. It supports, the tablet obviously supports streaming into Unreal, so you get a really nice low latency one-to-one feel for your virtual camera. Or you can then attach the video camera using SDI cables and feed that back into your Shōgun system. Here's just a little video showing the virtual camera setup as a Simucam. So you can see the marker stalks attached on the top. And you can also see the focus pull, which comes with the rig. This doesn't have the markers on at the minute, but we're working on a solution where you can attach markers to either to the lens or to the focus pull itself, and then build a model within Shōgun. So one of the features we've added to help with this is the ability to quickly recalibrate just the SDI camera. So you'll do the one wave for your whole system, and then you'll set your focal length, obviously, as part of that, and you'll get a lens map generated for you within Shōgun, which you can then take into Unreal. And then you can change the focal length, recalibrate just that camera, and it will just calibrate the lens intrinsics for you and generate a new lens map. And basically you can build then a lens model across, various steps within that range, feed that into Unreal, and then simulate from the optical tracking the rotation of the lens based on the focal length in the game engine. It's worth saying that's kind of its approximation of the model. If you've got the budget and the camera to support it, we'd always kind of recommend a dedicated fizz encoder, if possible. So why Vicon? I guess that's a key question, obviously, because we appreciate there are other tracking solutions out there. For us, we offer the best tracking class and accuracy. That's key, obviously. But also being able to do everything within one platform, I think that's key. So, like I say, best in class tracking and accuracy. You can combine those tracking graphs. So, like I said at the beginning, having a camera track and a full body track is a unique USP for us. And it obviously saves you multiple sources, and it also saves you money ultimately, because you're only using a single solution. And it's fully scalable, so it works on a small system with 6 cameras. There could be 6 Viper cameras, like a strobe-less active marker cameras, for example. If you just want to do camera tracking, all the way through to a larger camera set for doing mixed setups. So by mixed setups, I mean tracking the camera and also tracking full body subjects. And it works with both active and passive markers. So if you want to shoot outside, for example, then maybe an active marker is better. Or if you're on a film set and lighting is going to be an issue in the environment, then you could switch to an active marker solution in that example. And obviously we have a proven customer base, so we're very lucky here at Vicon to have customers like ILM and Silver Spoon, who I've highlighted, but also Framestore, Double Negative, Digital Domain and DreamWorks, also kind of all pushing us to improve this technology and really help support everybody. We appreciate, no matter the size of company or the budget, everybody wants to get these tools, and we're really keen to kind of push those out to people. So just to wrap up here, we see Shōgun as a virtual production hub, a way of bringing all these technologies together. So whether it's tracking cameras, characters, or you're ingesting the video data. We offer an optimized tracking solution, so we can track the rigid body and the cameras and the full body subjects on a separate stream, giving you the best of both worlds. And then this frees up customers from having to choose and allows you to push the technology further. Delivering solutions like we've highlighted, Simucam, LED wall, and green screen composites. We can't wait to see what you guys come up with this technology. So how do you get your hands on it? So we're really excited to announce we're going to be running a beta version of Shōgun, which will support these virtual production techniques. It'll be coming later this year, so hopefully in the fall 2020. But if you want to get involved, obviously send us an email and we'll add you to the list. And then when the beta becomes available, we can send it out to you. So thanks for coming and listening to our talk. Like I say, this is Virtual SIGGRAPH. It's the first time, and it's all very exciting for us. But we hopefully get to meet you and see you in person soon at the next one. Thanks for watching.